Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast episode number 210. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Book Insight Friday, and today I'm talking about if you write, they will come. So, this is for writers and authors in this podcast today. But if you're not and you're listening to this, I greatly appreciate it, all right? So, the one thing I never wanted to do was write 2 to 3 books and expect people to come. And I wanted to write a large amount of books so I have a variety. And all of my books, well, they aren't for everyone, but there are some that can resonate with readers, which is you guys, potentially. What I tell people is to keep building, and people will come. And it's all going to take time, patience, energy, and consistent effort. And it's all about marketing. And for me, writing books and being consistent in publishing new ones it will help me down the road. And building an audience, it takes a lot of time. And there are so many new writers and so many authors that are writing and publishing sci-fi and romance and, social issues like me, self-help books, coaching. Like there's just so much content that's out there. And we are inundated with social media and so many different things being shown to us all the time, different ads, all that stuff, right? And while the goal for me is to write 60 books, I want the longevity of the process to be the focus. And it's easy to jump out and start great with your first, second, or even your third book. It's hard to be consistent and write numerous books and be noticed for creating great content. And, I started off really, really, really slow. It really wasn't until about like my fourth or fifth book where I was starting to see a little bit of some results, and I tried a few different things. What I will say is it depends on the subject matter that you're writing about, because certain sites will work and other sites won't, right? A lot of things is trial and error. I did a book tour and wasn't a great investment. Will I do a book tour again? Yeah, I will. I just got to pick the right one, right site, right company, whatever the case is. It's a consideration down the road, right? If you're an author or a writer, it's trying different things. Social media, it's hard. You've got to like build an audience, got to be engaging with so many people, and it's a lot. And for me, I just it's harder for me to sit on Twitter and be engaging with the whole world when I can be creating content. I can be talking about my journey, and getting to where I want to be and motivating you guys. I would rather sit and record a podcast than to sit on Twitter and try to engage with the whole world. I can't do that. Um, it's a lot, right? Uh, and I always feel like a lot of times on social media, a lot of people aren't on social media to look for books. A lot of people are just being engaging. So unless you're in like book groups or things like that, for readers, then it's a different story. Um, I will always continually say that the bestsellers list has never really been my goal. And it's always been building a solid readership and talking about the social issues that I'm writing about. Um, it's not to say that being a bestseller isn't a great thing, because it is, and it's an amazing feat. I just don't like striving for something that pretty much everyone else is. I don't care to be New York Times bestseller or Amazon bestseller or anything like that. Those are temporary, momentary things. And even if I do, make it to that status, I'm not going to be the person that goes and changes his book cover to say Amazon bestseller or New York Times bestseller, whatever the case is. You know, people tend to, say, oh, I'm a bestseller, whatever the case is. And there's people that just, didn't resonate with your content and what you wrote. So I don't want to be that person. Um, and on top of that, I don't write really, really, really long books. I will say I think my longest book is 175 pages, I think. Um, a lot of my books are in the range of like 60 to 100 pages because I don't like to overwrite. I like to really, you know, come with it, give you the subject matter that I'm focused on, and tell the story and make sure that it resonates with someone and it impacts you in a way where it brings forth conversations. Um, so that's why I continually write. That's why I continually publish my books because at some point I am going to slow down a bit and I'm going to focus on a lot of different things. Um, Definitely down the road, I want to do speaking engagements. Definitely down the road, I want to, have, you know, I guess conversations on being a writer, being an author, things like that. There are things that, I want to do. I want to pass the torch, to people and not charge people for it because, well, I learned a lot of things, doing things on my own for free. So I'm not trying to make money and trying to make a dollar off of becoming a great writer or becoming a great author or anything like that. Like people that do the workshops with all that stuff, that's great. That's wonderful. I just don't feel the need to do that. Not right now. I mean, down the road, if I was to do a workshop, I'm not charging people an arm and a leg if I was to ever do it, to be brutally honest. I just feel like I probably would end up doing a podcast on it or doing a YouTube video on it, about how I do things and my journey. Everyone has their niche and everyone does things the way they feel, right? Um, I want to keep writing great content on social issues and step outside of my comfort zone. I will say that my Woman's Worth series, which is the 6 book series that focuses on women's social issues, that was a huge one where I stepped out of my comfort zone, especially part one, where it, addresses postpartum depression. I had to do extensive research. I spent time on social media reading stories. I immersed myself in like the 3, 4 episodes where it was discussed on the hit TV show 911. That was, you know, a real, a real, uh, real glimpse and look into like what it is and what it consists of and what happens and why. And, it's a lot. And, you know, I wanted to make sure that I did the right thing and did the story its justice in writing that the right way. Women's mental health is different than men's mental health. That was a big step out of my comfort zone and getting a full understanding of things. Um, Obviously, domestic violence and sexual assault and all of those things, those are really touchy subjects. I have written about that stuff. Um, I'm not, sitting here, you know, just watching TV shows about it. But a lot of the TV shows with Law and Order Special Victims Unit, even though it's an hour show and they script it a certain way, a lot of it is based off of real events. So that was a uncomfortable step outside of my comfort zone too. I, you know, did know um, some women who dealt with that when I was in college. Uh, so that's, partly, why I write tough subject, tough subjects like that. But for me, as long as I do, what I'm doing and I do it consistently, I know eventually I'll get my audience and, you know, then, it'll be a lot of them realizing and seeing all the work that I'm doing. And um, I think for me, it's more about the stories, not about me. It's about having the conversations. It's opening eyes to all of the unfortunate atrocities that are going on in the world. It's, you know, really about like shaping and changing things, I feel that I would be more of value to the world than depending on people in positions of power. People in positions of power, I can say, like, I would say maybe mayors and governors of cities, they, I think, can shift and change things in cities. I am not saying all of them have done that because, uh, man, have I seen some things. But, um, other government officials, there are good ones, but do I trust them? No, not really. I feel that I can provide more to the world and doing my part and being in communities and writing the content and, you know, doing that than depending on other other people. So uh, if you write, they will come. I will say that. Uh, it's also promoting yourself. It's also doing there's a lot more. There's a lot more ways to do things these days. So that's the beauty of it. It's not just social media. It's um, it's press releases. It's interviews on podcasts. It's getting yourself in a local newspaper. It's doing consignments with your books in bookstores. You don't have to depend on the big barter stores like Barnes and Nobles to put your book in there. You can really put yourself in smaller local bookstores, and you can build your own websites now. So it's a beautiful thing. So I don't really sit and depend on just social media only. It is going out into the world. It is meeting people. It is being engaging. It's also creating YouTube content on life as an author. I'm doing that. So just plugging away. And I want you guys, if you are writers and aspiring writers, authors, whatever the case is, I have some podcasts, that I've done, in regards to this, and I've written blogs. So if you ever want to do it and be a writer and be an author and just even doing a few books, you have it in you. Trust me. You just got to start the process. All right, guys. That's my podcast for today. I hope you guys had a great week. You have a great weekend. Be good, everyone, and go accomplish your goals.